2v2 Ruins of Argus blue team. We have Gote as a Chaos Sorcerer, offensive and disruptive commander, loads of spells, fights melee by default, alongside DiViNiTY as a Kommando knob, infiltrating stealth commander, good damage both melee and range, and lots of nasty tricks. Gylis on the red team as a force commander, offensive melee, can pretty much do everything depending on how you kit him out. This is Imperial Fists DLC. And Crimson X rounds out the red team as a Chaos Lord, big tough melee commander, bashes through cover, cannot be suppressed, and has an attitude problem. Crimson gets Chaos Space Marines to start off, heavy ranged infantry. Gote the same, Gylis tactical marines. Looks like they're gonna run into some Orks and Chaos in the middle. Sluggers are just gonna sit there and take losses, are they? No, moving in. Gonna need to go around this wall though. And don't lose a model, get into melee with his attacks. Here come Heretics in their default melee state and force off to CSM, but they did cap. Sluggers need to retreat through them. Ouch. Doomblast took out 2 models on retreat and another one goes down. Top VP being taken by Gote's Heretics. This is the northeastern edge, quite out of the way from the rest of the map. The center and bottom are quite compact. Double shooters for DiViNiTY then, light ranged infantry, pretty solid tier 1 unit, get in there, big shooter. Allows them to suppress and a bit more DPS as well. Here comes the Chaos Lord with his melee charge. We want to get in amongst these shooters and use Kill the Weak. Goes after the other squad. There it is, but misses and needs to retreat. That's his self-heal, but he does need to hit units with it to heal himself. And it can be quite tricky to get off. When you get it really good though, you can completely replenish his health pretty much. Nice Marines on the way for Gote. Scouts taking the top. Force Commander, haven't seen him in combat yet, mainly used to cap stuff. Chaos Space Marines here. Kommando knob is in the building. That's pretty nice damage with his default weapon, as you can see on his tactical marines. Might get a model loss here. Losing tactical marine models is nasty because 83 requisitions to just get 1 guy back. You can really bleed in tier 1 if you get a lot of attack losses. He does get a loss there, but it did cap. Huge engagement in the middle now. Here comes the Force Commander, Chaos Lord. Noise Marines tied up by him. There's Cacophony, and these Heretics are in trouble. They have their aspiring champion now, they'll be alright. Force Commander also forced off. 446, 461. Scouts picking away at the power node. Kill the Weak on these Sluggers, perhaps, maybe he's already used it. Is missing some energy. Nice Marines shutting down these CSM. They should be firing on those shooter boys though. We'll do a lot more damage a lot quicker and probably shut down the CSM as well. Here comes an Assault Marines from Gylis, jumping the shooters. Heavy melee infantry with bolt pistols and chainswords. Good counter setup teams and generally counter range units as well. Here comes some Heretics, taking a lot of damage from those Noise Marines though. It's like a squad with 3 flamers. Here comes some Sluggers. No burners for these guys, which would help versus the heavily armoured Marines. They're so easy to lose though, so it's perhaps a good idea to wait until they get tier 2 and get a knob leader and a lot more durable before you get them burners. This Kommando knob is still in this building. Forces off some Heretics there. Tier 2 for everyone apart from Crimson. Noise Marines firing on the Kommando knob, and they are a garrison counter, as you can see, doing quite a lot of damage to him. Bear in mind, it is a commander, and he needs to get out. Lots of Dakka from the Orks. Here comes sluggers, taking losses as they go in as usual. But now they're in melee, and getting some special attacks on these CSM. Shut up by tactical marines though. CSM forced off. So is the force commander. Will he get away? No, goes down. Grenade onto heretics for Gote. Are these tactical marines coming to force melee? Blue team are losing their power here to Crimson's noise marines. These tactical marines getting very low. Lucky that those heretics weren't melee heretics at that point. Just about 95 hit points across 2 models. That is very low for tactical marines. Submarines capping the top. Gonna be a double, is it? Nope, a 2-to-1. Sluggers moving in on the noise marines. There's cacophony, which helps them against melee units, and generally can disrupt pretty well if you position them right. Chaos Lord running around with half hit points would like to get Kill the Weak off, but I don't think he's going to risk that engagement with sluggers, double shooters, and the Kommando knob there. Here we see Khorne worship boosting the speed of your units if you are a Chaos Lord. Even works on vehicles and stuff. Shooters take out a generator pretty quickly. Here comes a librarian for Gylis. War truck on the way for DiViNiTY. Crimson goes for some havocs. Noise Marines, such a hard counter to double shooters if you can get them close enough. Kommando now has his special shooter, which does knockback passively, and also has the devastating explosive shells. Also has extra equipment, by far the most popular choice for Kommando. At the top we have a lot of stuff going on. I see Chains of Torment on Assault Marines, and they need to retreat out of there, so do the scouts. And blue can take the top now. It's a single 419-402. Loyalist Marines come to cap the center. Chaos Lord can now revive the Force Commander, should level him to 3. Has the Combi Flame, a really nice weapon. There he goes. Force Commander still level 1. As is the Chaos Sorcerer and the Kommando knob. Crimson going for some Plague Marines. Here's the War Truck from DiViNiTY. Transport and reinforcement vehicle, but it's very weak. Especially if you get rear armor hits. Tactical Marines get their Sergeant. Noise Marines hitting Red's natural power now. Here come some Assault Marines to defend. And Noise Marines will need to run or cacophony, because these Assault Marines now have their Sergeant and that power sword doing a lot of damage, down to half health before they can get out of there. Tactical Marines lose a model, sync kill by the Chaos Sorcerer. Noise Marines at the bottom won't do much to the War Truck, but these Plague Marines will if they can get down there. Very tough anti-vehicle unit. Their missiles also snare vehicles. Not a huge amount of DPS, but the War Truck is weak. Gote now has some Bloodletters, Demon Infantry, high damage versus all targets, and they can teleport. Here come Scouts. They're going to cap the top for a 2-to-1, I think, for red. Once they get this bottom one. No. Yes. Kommando being very sneaky, has his stick bombs, so he is a nightmare for light infantry with that shotgun and stick bombs. He's gone to throw him at the garrison, who lose one model. Not much light infantry around though. Still does nice damage to Marines. Stick bombers can give anything. Tactical Marines have their plasma gun. Chaos Sorcerer forced off. Can the red team take the middle for a triple perhaps? 400, 351. Plague Marines forced off. Look how much stuff needed to force them off. Sluggers are repairing the war truck. There's Immolate from the Chaos Lord, but he is set upon by sluggers, and sluggers with their Nob Leader are pretty nasty melee unit, and the Chaos Lord goes down. Very cheap to reinforce, pretty quick too. And they have their burners now, so they have a couple of power weapons. Merciless Strike hits the knob. Librarian forced off. Tactical Marines in cover, Kraken bolts on. Here comes the Force Commander with his hammer and Artificer, so he's pretty tough now. Over 1,000 hit points. Needs to engage something though. When he has the hammer, he has no sidearm. Going after some Bloodletters, who are in turn going after Plague Marines. Force Commander doing a good job disrupting them though. Taking a lot of damage from these Sorcerer of Tzeentch Inferno bolts, and is forced to retreat. Really needs his bubble, I think, or the teleporter. One of the commanders that really benefits from their accessories. Noise Marines capping the top. Going to be a 2-to-1 for blue if they can hold the center. This map usually turns into a huge running battle here. Assault Marines just get away from the Bloodletters, who phase out without a loss, and now they're under Tzeentch worship, so look at the health regen they get. A lot of people think the health regen to demons is too high from worship, but as you can see, heretics die very quickly. Smite can't finish off the Bloodletters, they just about get at 29 hit points. There's Chains of Torment. Librarian sticks around. Havoc set up nicely by Crimson, but they're going to get stick bombs to the face. Ouch. Only one model died, that's pretty lucky. No way to tell how the stick bombs will land when you chuck them. Librarian needs to be very careful. Sacrificial Circle, or whatever it's called. Almost finished him off, but he did decap. Wartrug is still alive somehow. Tier 3 for DiViNiTY, Tier 3 for Crimson 2. Gylis can go Tier 3, and does. Here we see some Noise Marines with the Blast Master, turns them into an artillery unit. And what are artillery units good for? Blobs of infantry. We still have these double shooters to deal with for red team. Plague Marines take the middle, exploding when they die. Force Commander trapped in the chains. And now runs, I think he's in retreat. Yes, lost the indicator for him. 351, 246, a 2-to-1 for blue. Gylis is going to go Tier 3 and has the zeal to get Terminators. Both the bottom powers lacking generators. 2-to-1 for blue team. Crimson getting a Chaos Predator now, which might be good. Not much vehicle counters on the blue team that I can see. Commander Dog can switch to his devastating rocket launcher though. Here come the war truck. Is he taking stuff to the power? No, seems to be driving around aimlessly. There we go, here's some sluggers and double shooters, and assault marines need to jump out. They get back in. Good use of the war truck by DiViNiTY to just distract the red team. Chasing these assault marines now. The war truck doesn't do very much damage with its pintle mounted shooter, and here are some Terminators surely from Gylis. Gone for the range variety. Storm Bolters and Power Fizz. Storm Bolters are basically two bolters stuck together. Chaos Lord taking the bottom. Now level 4. Chaos Predator is in the middle. No mark for this thing yet. Horse Commander's level 3, Chaos Sorcerer's level 3, Kommando level 2, Sorcerer has his Sword of Flame. Librarian at the top levels to 2 also has Tome of Time, which gives him 100 hit points, I think, taking him up to 900. These Terminators are busy capping, so they can't go and melee that war truck. Kommando might go down here taking tons of damage and just gets away. Red team stacking in the middle. Assault Marines should be jumping into that blob, but they're not, just standing there. Havoc's tied up by Bloodletters and just about get out of there. It's the rocks from DiViNiTY. Don't think it wiped any squads. Orks, of course, automatically accrue their red resource over time, because loads of their abilities use it. Chaos Predator still doesn't have a mark. Bloodletters Sacrificial Circle spawned on the Blastmasters, which forced them off. Assault Marines now level 3. Terminators cannot level and are camping the top, have their assault cannon. War truck still alive, has the reinforced plating. Level 2 as well. Now getting rear armor hits though, and goes down to a power sword. Goes out of control and all the Orks spill out. Nob squad on the field for DiViNiTY. Elite tier 3 infantry can go toe to toe with anything, but a Thunderhammer Force Commander is a pretty good way to deal with them, since it constantly knocks them down and does nice damage, of course, the power weapon against the heavy armor. These commanders of the red team trying to hold up this blob while the tactical marines cap. There's Immolate from the Chaos Squad, nicely done, forcing these shooter boys to move off. But he needs to retreat, taking hits from the Chaos Sorcerer in melee and gets away. Blastmaster does knock down friendly units. Force Gun goes flying. Still around though, does see no accessories still. Plague Marines for Gote. Tzeentch worship at base, not sure why. To heal up the Bloodletters, I suppose. Top is red, 231114. It's going to be a triple for red team. DiViNiTY losing the sluggers, losing the war truck, all of a sudden looks quite thin. Getting a battle wagon though. Nob squad. Not sure why they were going through the center to go top, and are immediately forced off. We have Marco Tzeentch, CSM, and a plasma gun, so those heavily armored knobs are going to take a lot of damage while they trundle around. Quite a knob not capping top. Here he goes. Level 3. Here is the battle wagon and super unit for Orks. Can run over units and has a big nasty zap gun like you saw there. Need to garrison it with 2 squads though for it to fire all of its weapons. You can tell how many squads are garrisoned by those yellow marks you see on the side. So it does have 2 shooter boy squads in there. And there's the death roller. But it stops. Taking a lot of damage from that Blastmaster. And surely going to finish off this tank, which had Mark of Nurgle as well. So it was very tough. One more shot and it goes down. There it is. Do we have Thunder and Lightning is on the way. We'll give them a melter bomb. Battle wagon taking so much damage now. Plague Marines should be chasing it, but they don't. Too busy fighting off these Chaos Forces of Gote. Bloodletters get away. Bloodletters have done really well, level 3 now. Tying up the setup teams and getting in amongst tactical marines. Kommando went down at the top. I assume the Terminators were responsible. They're now coming to the bottom. 137, 112. It's getting very close. 2-1 for blue. Here we see double Nob squads by DiViNiTY passing by the Terminators without a word. Dark flames on that heavily armoured infantry and they move away. Terminators vastly outnumbered, need to teleport out and need to run now, I think. Here we go. One Nob squad has hammers, the other one doesn't. There's Imperial Abyss by Crimson. That is nuts. How many Orks died? Both shooter boy squads lost, I think. Yes, that was devastating. That could be a game-winning nuke. 2 Nob squads and a battle wagon left though, so DiViNiTY's no pushover. 127, 99. Crimson was looking thin but made up for it with that Imperial Abyss. Only has Chaos Space Marines, Noise Marines and Plague Marines left. Might be saving for a Great Unclean One. Has the power, just needs 300 or so requisition. Chaos Sorcerer, sorry, reviving the Kommando Nob. Doesn't level him though. Level 4. Force Spanner's level 5 now. Still doesn't have an accessory. Sacred Standard will be really good, I think, for the huge battles in the middle, since everything's in one place and everything will be buffed by it. Mark of Khorne, Havoc's in the building. Here come Assault Marines to help out, but he's going to need it against Nob squad of U-Jammers. They don't have their Nob leader though. Here you see Frenzy used. Now it's wore off. You see these concentric circles that go up the Nobs. That's their momentum from the hammers. And they're forced off with 3 models. Okay, Sorcerer's still in there. Up against the Force Commander and Assault Marines and goes down. Red team taking the middle, 11574. It's going to be a 2-1 for red once they get the top and the middle. Under Mark of Khorne, Havoc fire though. Auto cannon, good damage versus all targets and a small AoE. Crimson getting some more Havocs. Needs to look after them though with these bloodletters around. In melee with Terminators. Very brave bloodletters and they get away with 3 models. Terminators took quite a lot of damage there, as you can see. Battle wagon still around. DiViNiTY has some sluggers to repair it. Also, heretics repairing it there. And more Terminators for Gylis. This time, assault Terminators with their Thunderhammers and Storm Shields easily tank this damage to cap the top. 5,400 hit points. Very scary dudes. Chasing the Chaos Sorcerer, who runs away, and the Kommando Nob sneaks away. And it's a triple for red, 9267. Mark of Tzeentch, Chaos Dreadnought for Gote, who chose to stay in tier 2. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Double Plague Marines from Crimson, working on the battle wagon. Big zap gun shot, and the Plague Marines shrug it off. Another one. And one Plague Marine squad down to half health. Here comes some Terminators, where they go try and melee the battle wagon. There's Dark Flames vulnerability of the Sorcerer. Plague Marine shrug it off though. Here come a Nob squad. Still don't have their Nob leader. In amongst the Terminators. Ouch, and the Terminators are losing models, and I assume they've used their teleport because they're not using it now. There it is. Get away with a single model, 320 hit points, which is not a lot for a Terminator. Havocs have been pushed right up by Crimson, nicely done. Nobs get away, do they? 56 hit points. Ouch, Blastmaster hit allied assault marines then. And are now stuck by chains. Will they get away? One model left. Big zap gun on the central VP. Who's taking top? Assault Terminator is sitting top and capping. Little skirmish over the bottom. We have a Force Commander, lots of stick bombs, and not Librarian, who is still decapping. Force Commander now tying up the Commander knob. Here comes the Chaos Sorcerer though. And the Librarian's in a bit of trouble and backs away. Level 4 this guy, wow. Plague Marines take the center, 1949, don't get much closer. Assault Terminator is still sitting at the top. Other Terminator squad being reinforced, very expensive to reinforce though. 150-50 I think. Bloodletters still stomping around for Gote. I've done really well. Another Chaos Dreadnought on the way. First one went down. Mark of Tzeentch worshipped by the heretics. Battle wagon went down also. Is this the Kommando squad being called in? It is. Red team, big push on the center to try and cap it and win the game. That's a drop pod, I think. There it is. Landed right on the Chaos Lord's head. He gets back up a bit dazed and goes right back to killing stuff. Level 7 now. Gylis level 6 has his Iron Halo. Huge battle over the central VP. Double knobs in there. Plague Marine, Tactical Marines forced off. CSM fighting Havocs. Here comes a Chaos Dreadnought with Mark of Khorne though. Bloodletters teleport on the Havocs and double knobs forced off. There's a big blow to blue team. There's a Dark Flames. Khorne Dreadnought uses Blood Rage. And this is a very dead Librarian. Assault Terminator is defending the top against poor little Commando boys. Plague Marine should be able to cap the middle here, and this will be a win for red surely. They also decap at the bottom. Force Runner being knocked back by the Kommando knob shotgun. Here come double knobs. Can he decap in time? They go after the Terminators. Well, one squad does. And he does decap, and there's an Imperial Abyss from Crimson again. At least I assume it was. And red team take it. Assault Terminators didn't let anyone cap the top. And blue just lost too much stuff in the middle engagements here, especially that Imperial Abyss early on, which really screwed up DiViNiTY. Chaos Dreadnought going after knobs there. Thanks for watching guys, I'll see you next time.